So last week, Movement for Movement Monday. You know what this is. You know what I'm going to talk about too. And I was able to get um, one of our med students to work on this for all of you because moving your body so important. We talk about this all the time. That's when we created this movement for movement because there really is something called cardiac paralyzation. And that's when people just are so stumped and they're so stuck and they don't want to move when they find out they have an aneurysm or they've had a dissection. Because they're just scared because they don't understand the mechanics of how their bodies work. And even if their doctors say they can do something, they're just sometimes too scared to do it. So it's very important that that you move your body and you work within the restrictions, if any, that your physician has given you. However, it's autumn, and that means all the leaves are starting to fall from the trees, which is kind of terrible because they look so pretty. I look out my window, I'm seeing them all right now. But with these leaves falling off the trees, it just means that many people are now going to want to rake up the leaves so that they don't destroy your grass. I get it. I get it. But raking leaves can be quite problematic for people with aortic disease. And I wanted us to talk about how that is. It's not typically considered that great for your heart rate and your blood pressure, especially if you have pre-existing conditions in your heart, as it involves repetitive motion, bending, twisting, lifting, etc. And that can sometimes put a little bit of a significant strain on your heart, potentially causing your blood pressure to rise significantly, particularly if you're doing this for extended period of times and in cold weather. We will have a separate post that talks about how weather impacts our bodies. Here are some key points to consider when it comes to thinking about raking your own leaves. I'm not talking about blowers, I'm talking about using the rake. Raking leaves is actually considered to be a moderate to vigorous physical activity, and it requires your heart to actually work harder than usual. So that's important to note. Repetitive motions it, that come with raking can actually lead muscle strain in your back, your shoulders, and your arms, especially if you're not used to this type of physical exertion. And while that in and of itself is not necessarily problematic, for a lot of us, if you wanted to relieve that pain, you're stuck with just Tylenol. And I don't know about you, but I find taking a Tylenol as good as taking a Tic Tac. This doesn't do anything. If you're raking in cold weather, you have to understand that your blood vessels constrict in cold weather, and that can further elevate your blood pressure. And you're just, again, putting a lot of hard work on your body. What you can do to mitigate the risk. So let's assume you're really like, I'm going to rake my leaves. I'm doing it. I'm not going to ask the child down the street who would love to have $5 for raking your leaves to help put towards buying a game. No, but you're going to rake it yourself. If you have any concerns about your heart, your aorta, your blood pressure, and the like, talk to your doctor. Just talk to your doctor before you engage in strenuous yard work like raking leaves. Just have a nice conversation, okay? If you're going to do it, make sure you take frequent breaks. Don't try to do too much too quickly. If it's windy, it's not worth it because you're just going to do all this work for nothing. But just make sure you take some breaks. Use good posture, obviously. Bend at the knees. Avoid lifting heavy piles of the leaves at one time. Cut them in half, kind of thing. Stretch before you start raking the leaves to kind of help prepare your muscles. It's also good to stretch afterwards too, when you're kind of slowing down and you're inside your house. If raking leaves is too physically demanding for you, there's other options. You can actually rent, I believe you can rent a leaf blower these days from Home Depot or Lowe's, and then you can just bring it back. Just buy one if you live in an area with a lot of leaves. Hire somebody professional or a kiddo. They'd be thrilled to have a little bit of extra cash and let them just let them do it. Better to be safe. But whatever you do, always talk to your physician before engaging in something that is some type of physical activity, whether you view it as strenuous or you don't, and the rest of the world does. Okay. I like to jump into the pile of leaves, but I'm definitely not raking it. No. And even my husband now, who it does not have AD, well, first of all, he doesn't really rake the leaves. He thinks it's natural. Whatever it does to the lawn, it's okay. It's frolicky time for the deer. But I don't let them shovel the snow anymore. And we're going to talk about that in about another month, shoveling snow and how that is a no-no. But talk to your physician about raking leaves and see if it's right for you. And that's Medical Monday.